Bam, we're live. Good morning. Good morning. Rambler, hey, what's up? Second still podium. Who's first? How do you know you're not first? Hannah, welcome. Awesome. Wow, my first time making it before live stream starts after watching every show for over a year. You did it. Yeah, what's up? You got up extra early? Omar, what's up, dude? Asymmetric. Present. Good to see you. Oh, this guy we're having on today is cool as shit. I hope I don't screw this one up. And by screw up specifically, I mean, I hope I can keep asking him questions and I don't fall victim to my own self-interest and asking questions about myself. Oh, look, and the self-help book is here too. God, I love it. You're gonna love this. I'm gonna dedicate this show to you, girl. What's up, David?
How you doing?
Dude, living the dream, buddy. Living the dream.
We're live.
Yeah.
Nice.
Hey, thanks for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
I watched your podcast with Danny, and I watched your podcast with Zuby, and I watched your interview with Tate, the part 2, all yesterday. I had the David Sutcliffe. What did we used to do in high school? Cram. We crammed, right?
Right. You binged.
Yeah, it turned into binging in college. In high school, it was still cramming.
No Gilmore Girls. You didn't watch any Gilmore Girls?
But I studied some Gilmore Girls Wikipedia stuff, and I watched some red carpet videos.
Nice.
Yeah, and I liked all that stuff. Hey, dude, I'm born in Oakland, California, raised to 2 lovely do-gooder Democrat liberal parents. A tree hug, do what's best for the world, and somewhere along on the journey, I ran into a libertarian, and in just a whole journey, eventually I came to a point where I started viewing LA as like a hive. I started jokingly calling it a hive.
Yeah.
And I'm so impressed at your journey. Are you in LA still?
I'm in Austin, Texas.
Oh, right. Okay. All right.
Had to get out.
I've been very defensive lately about people leaving California because there's this thing like, why the fuck are you still in California? I'm like, because I'm not a coward. I'm not one of those pussies who's moving to Florida or Texas.
And I respect that.
but I don't really mean it. I'm just being defensive.
Well, somebody's got to stay and fight.
Oh my goodness, what a journey you've been on, dude.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey, and on many levels. But yeah, I got out of LA. Well, when I switched careers, because when you're an actor, which I was for 20 plus years, you got to be in LA. There's nowhere else you can be. I mean, I spent a little time in Toronto, Vancouver. I'm from Toronto, but really you got to be in LA. And so when I officially retired, it was the first time where I thought, wait, I don't have to live in LA. I could live anywhere right now. And I moved to the mountains, Idlewild, California, for a year and a half.
Did you get into meth up there?
I did not get into meth. It's the meth scene isn't as bad in Idlewild, I think, as it is in some of the other mountain towns nearby. But I loved it up there. I want to live in the mountains. I was like, where do I want to live? I was like, I want to live in the mountains. I grew up around mountains. So, but then, it was a little too isolating. So I had to move to Austin, Texas. I've been here for 2.5 years, and I love it. I love Texas. I love the people, friendly. Austin's a great city, and a lot of energy, a lot of youthful exuberance and optimism. So it's a good place to be for me right now.
Was there any component of chasing a woman to Austin, or did you already have the woman?
Well, it's funny you say that. I didn't have a woman. I was dating somebody who was living in Los Angeles when I was up in Idlewild, but it was kind of, casual, let's say. And then when I moved to Austin, she moved back to Miami because she also wanted to get out of LA. And I thought, that's a good woman. I don't want to let her get away. I'm getting old.
Yeah.
And so we've been dating ever since. We got engaged in August, getting married in April, and she's now living with me in Austin.
Is this your first marriage?
I was married, when was it? 2001. I got married very briefly to a Playboy playmate at the
Oh, that's cool.
Tropicana Hotel in Vegas. It was a on again, off again, tumultuous relationship, and I guess I thought we could solve it if we got married. That lasted 4 months, and God love her. She was a good woman, but I don't know what we were doing, playing. Well, that's actually the thing that really got me into therapy. I mean, I realized it made a disastrous mistake. And I started to wonder, like, how did that happen? How did I make that mistake? How was I deluding myself so badly? And yeah, that really began my serious journey of self-inquiry and trying to figure out what the hell was going on for me.
Do you have kids?
I don't have kids.
And how old are you?
54.
Oh, dang, dude, you look good.
Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah.
I noticed you have this thing going that I'm 51. I thought for sure you were younger than me. I thought you were 44, but the beard made you look like maybe you were 50. But I have this, if I grow my beard like 1 more inch, I'll turn into 70. 2 inches, and I'm like, people are like, dude, I got a casket I want to sell you.
Well, I keep the beard because when I shave it, I look a little baby faced, which is, good on one level. But working in the profession that I'm in, the beard gives me a little gravitas, a little power. People take me more seriously.
I agree.
So I use it. I work with it.
It's kind of like I was big into photography for a long time. I still am, but you can get away with murder the older you are. Like you point a camera at a gangbanger at 18, he shoots you dead. At 50 with a scruffy beard, he like poses for you. You want me to put my gat over here or my gat over here? You know
It's
what
so
I mean?
true. It's so
Like,
true.
it's so
Yeah,
awesome.
nothing but because you're everybody's daddy.
Oh,
I
okay.
think. And
Okay.
so when I walk into a room, I have a dad vibe, whether people are conscious of it or not. And so there's a certain respect that gets afforded to you, or hatred, depending on the person.
Do you? I'm totally open to you not feeling comfortable with this next question, and I get it because you've made it clear that you're not a shit talker in your videos. But do you have any thoughts on your Danny Morell interview? Did you ever go back and watch that?
I watched it.
Yeah. Did anything jump out at you about that in particular? I know I'm asking you a loaded question. I know I'm leading you.
But I'm assuming something jumped out at you.
It's so different. This is not the point of this interview, but I just can't resist. It's so different than Zuby. Zuby's so grounded. He's asking you to define words. You're not dealing. I'm not a therapist, so I don't know what the words are. But Andrew spends the entire. I'm speaking in hyperbole. Spends the entire interview telling you he's not a coward, and Morell's telling you the whole interview how authentic he is. And he's convincing you and manipulating you to convince you that you have this authentic relationship from the beginning to the end. And I'm like, and nothing, I want to say almost nothing objective is said that entire interview. It's like, I just like, hey, can we just pull one balloon down and talk about it? Where Zuby's like, I need you to, and I have I come from that place that Morell was at, right? But I'm now where Zuby's at, meaning like I need things defined.
I understand.
I'm not letting like authentic be your true self. Go fuck yourself. Like, no fucking way am I doing that. But it was just a trip. I mean, you navigated both beautifully.
Thank you.
Did you do you feel like, do you have any thoughts on what I'm referencing?
I can understand your perspective, certainly. Yeah. And I think I know what you mean. Here's the thing I'll say about Danny Morell. Like, he puts his money where his mouth is. Like, I was like, is this guy for real? He was coming off very friendly and connecting. But you know what? Now we're good friends. Like, he's like given me a lot of opportunity. I now, he brought me on just out of pure instinct to work at some of his events, and he's very generous and friendly. So there's something, I
He
don't
might
know.
be a
I
fantastic
like
judge of
Danny. I
character.
like Danny.
Yeah, okay.
But I can understand how one would see him as, I don't know, superficial is the right word
Or
at first glance. But I
or
actually think
purveyor
he's
of miscommunication in order to kind of, like, get to some lowest common denominator with someone instead of, like he really
mm,
wants things to be good.
mm,
Like, one of his lines is, like, he uses a lot is, like, "We both love that kind of dog." And, like, we haven't defined what love is. We don't even know if you have a dog. We don't know what dog he's referencing. I wish I could think of an exact line, but there was this,
right.
like, always including the 2 of you
Yeah.
from the beginning
Yeah.
in this, and I was like, "Wow, this is." But I saw a ton of myself in that. I was like, "Wow, that's how I used to be."
Well, and
You wanna
it,
make people feel good. You wanna bond with
yeah.
he's excited to bond with people.
Yeah. 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 And yeah, I don't want to say too much. I'm friends with
Okay,
Danny. I love
fine.
Danny. Like
Okay,
Danny's a
good.
good dude, but I hear you. I could see how one would take that stance.
And Zuby was just drilling down.
Hmm. Yeah. Zuby is got a gift for asking very what sound like simple questions, but are actually very complex.
Mhm.
I think that is his gift. Even on Twitter, he says these things that when you read them, they feel obvious or self-evident, and yet you haven't quite heard it that way before, and it really lands. Like he's really got a gift for communication.
When I see what he writes, I'm always like, "Why didn't I write that? How
Exactly.
wait." So many times, yeah,
Hmm.
it's clear and it's concise. How did you meet him?
I don't know. We were following each other on Twitter for a while, and he just put out a notice saying like he had some guest cancel for his podcast, and would anyone like to come on? So I was like, yeah, man, I want to come on your podcast. It was really that simple, and yeah, it happened like in 24 hours, maybe even the same day. So it was quick, but I think he doesn't know that much about me, but again, that's good. That was good. So he found out during the interview. I like that.
I asked if you had kids because there's this piece of me that cares that because I have kids, maybe it's but I care about the future, right? If I didn't have kids, I like fuck bring Armageddon on. What do I care? I'll move
Right.
into an RV and get some guns and like just watch the thing, and some girls and watch the thing from afar. Um, but I have kids and I care. Do you know why you care? Do you care?
Do I
It
care
seems like you care
about?
about the outcome, the future of
Yeah, I care.
humanity,
I care.
civilization. Yeah.
Well, I think we're in a fight of good versus evil right now. I think it's very clear to me that that's what's going on, and I want to be on the side of good. And I like the fight. It's asking new things of me. I mean, my generation, and I guess we're in the same generation, Gen X. Like, we didn't really grow up with much conflict. I guess 9/11 was the first real shock, and I think, about 30 at the time. But now we're engaged in what I feel is an existential crisis, some kind of civil war, spiritual war. I think we'll end up in a literal world war. And it's sad, it's depressing, it's scary, but at the same time, it's exciting because it's asking us to get strong and find some internal fortitude. And so aspects of myself that I think have been dormant or may have come out in sports or in business in different ways, but this is different. This is real. And so I'm into it. As I said, it's scary, but I like the fight, and I like who I'm becoming in relationship to what's happening.
Oh, yeah. I like the way you said that. You like what you're turning into. You're
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's brought me closer to God,
Yeah.
and that feels really good. And now I really understand. I mean, as much as I can, uh, the power of God and the reason that it's important to believe in God and have a relationship with God. I understand God is a loaded word and people define it in different ways, but It's driven me to God, and it's made me much more diligent about how I live and what I think and how I interact with other people, the things that I'm doing. I'm much more intentional, conscientious, and it feels like I'm on a mission, and being on a mission feels really good.
Yeah, you're on a mission. Fully. I'm gonna try a new metaphor for you that I haven't used before. This we all have a hand, and most people fill their hand with something, right? And our right hand is what carries God in
Mhm.
this illustration I'm going to give you. And so some people think because they're holding on to CNN, they're not holding on to God, but they don't realize that the truth is that everything that is in this hand that you've grabbed with this hand is your God.
Right.
For the sake of this. So some people have grabbed their mom, some people have grabbed their dad, some people have grabbed the Bible, some people have grabbed CNN, but they're holding it's in the just the nature, the objective nature of who we are. This whatever's in this hand, let's say, is God for the sake of this argument.
I'm with you.
I personally prefer not. I personally, from my perspective, if the goal to be with God is not to pick anything up with this hand.
Interesting.
Just sit right in the unknown. Just have it open like this.
I love that.
Yeah. The people who grab the Bible, they know that they've grabbed a God. And whether it's a real God or a fake God, they know that they've grabbed it. This other side that some people call evil, because I'm really trying to understand what evil is, because I really just don't believe in evil. So when you say there's a battle between good and evil, I struggle with it.
Separation from God.
Understanding. These people that we're calling evil, they're in a really weird situation because they've grabbed something that's their God, and they still say they don't believe in God, but the nature of their being is they have this thing that if any of us grab it, it turns it into our God.
Well, they're worshiping something.
Yeah. And they don't know that. Like, I didn't know I'd been like I was worshiping something.
Yeah, you're worshiping money, you're worshiping social justice, BLM, whatever, like something, sex.
White knighting, protecting something.
Absolutely. You become identified with something, you believe that you are good, but if it's not God, if it's not something that's bigger than you, and I understand people would say that BLM and these other things feel like it's bigger than them, and it does satisfy that. But it's a social movement. And if you're believing in something that is on this plane of existence and that becomes your God, you're going to become corrupted. It's just that simple. And
So if your God's on this plane, would that be a component of evil?
it's a false God. It's a false
Okay.
God. And if you're believing in a false God, you are eventually going to fall prey to evil. You're going to start to act in evil ways. I think, listen, most people think about evil as I have this evil plot and I'm going to execute it. But I think largely evil is perpetuated unconsciously and often in the name of good. But it's a rationalization. I mean, all of us have unconscious rage from the places that we were hurt as a child. And there's a part of all of us that wants to get revenge, wants to punish. That's why revenge movies are so fun to watch. It's like exercises that part of ourselves. We feel deep satisfaction in that. But all of that lives in the unconscious. So what we do is we attach ourselves to some quote unquote noble cause, bond with other people, create an enemy, and then because we're good and they're bad, we can rationalize anything to destroy them. And that's evil. That's how it works. I mean, that's my definition and my framework. Obviously, there's many ways to talk about it, but that's how I think about it.
I think it was in the conversation you were having with Zuby, you were digging into something that is the most fascinating component of all of this to me, is rationalizing, bringing understanding to things that frankly I don't understand. So like 2 + 2 is 4, and that's racist because there's only
Right.
one answer. And then I'm like, okay, I want to understand what you're saying. I want to understand how it's racist because there's only one answer, but you're saying that anywhere there's only one answer, it's I can't make the leaps. I'm not making the I'm not making the leaps. And I think you were explaining to Zuby how that kind of rationalization occurs. Does that ring a bell with you? Or do you have
Uh,
any thoughts on that? How people make these leaps of rationalization
well,
that those of us who think we're being logical can't make?
yeah, again, in that, I think there's something subversive in it. Like, it's very like, I've spent my, the last, I don't know, 15, 20 years studying psychology, core energetics. That's what I'm trained in. It's a somatic psychotherapy. And it's based on the work of Alexander Lowen, bioenergetics, and on a series of lectures called the Pathwork Lectures, which were this channeled group of lectures. And
Are those on YouTube?
yeah, not on YouTube, but they're online.
Okay.
Pathwork lectures. They're incredible. They're a little bit difficult to read at first, but once you get them, yeah, there they are. They're really powerful, and they have a framework: higher self, which we all know, lower self, mask, right? But the lower self, it's that part of us that is capable of evil, and it's inside all of us, and it hides from us. We don't want to know it, obviously, but it seeks expression. And so when it begins to come out, it we rationalize it. We create a story in our mind to rationalize our bad behavior. And as I said, you'll make somebody else the enemy, you'll make yourself good. That's the story you're telling yourself. And in that place, you can rationalize everything. I mean, you're seeing it right now with what they're doing to Trump, right? It's just like they've made him into Hitler. What do you think is going to happen if you label somebody Hitler and all his followers racist? Well, I said this very early on Facebook back in 2015, and all my friends went crazy. I said, you can't do that. It's a very fucking dangerous thing to do, because once you label somebody Hitler, then you can rationalize doing anything to stop Hitler.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And so you can see the setup in that. The people who are actually labeling him as Hitler, they have this evil inside them. They have this aggression. They have this rage that wants to be expressed. It's all about pain from their childhood, right? It's unresolved pain from their childhood. It's just a defense. And we all got hurt in childhood. I mean, you could talk about it as trauma, whatever. Everybody has this, right? I mean, just look out in the world. Look at all the cruelty, all the evil, the murder that's going on all over the world, all the corruption. Well, it's in us. And so for me, really the work that I do is coming to terms with that part of us, to know that part lives inside everyone, and it lives inside me. And if I don't come into relationship with it, if I don't know the part of me that's capable of it, it's likely, almost certain, that I'm going to act out on it in some way. Now, am I going to go hit somebody over the head? Probably not. But am I going to punish my fiance when we're in an argument by withdrawing and pulling away my love so that she will suffer because I feel like she's hurt me? Yeah, I'm probably going to do that. That's cruelty. And we don't want to take responsibility for it. We want to project it onto somebody else. You did this to me, or you're doing this, therefore I have the right to do this back to you. And you, in that moment, you're abdicating any sense of self-responsibility. You're it's just a free for all, and it's dangerous. And you see it going on all over the place. And this is why it's so attractive to make yourself a victim. Once you're a victim, you can rationalize anything. Well, I've been victimized, and it happens every time. The victim becomes the perpetrator, and the cycle continues.
Because everywhere I looked, and let's say I'll back down from that a little bit. 99% of where I looked, the person who's pointing at someone as racist, it's so obvious to me they're the racist.
Yes.
It's like, wow, you had to come up with that because you were racist. Like, that's the
Mhm.
only way you saw that. You made that up in your head. That I don't see that out here.
It's projection.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're not racist in the way that they're accusing other people of. Listen, our brains are racist. Our brains categorize. Your mind can't not do that. And I think a lot of people feel shame about that. They feel like, oh, if I'm categorizing people based on the color of their skin, which you can't not do,
Right.
because the brain is a pattern recognition machine. They feel shame about that. somehow,
Right.
or that's somehow makes them bad. And so then they need to project the shame that they feel about that onto other people. But the truth is, we're all racist in some sense. And I think the way out of it, the way out of anything, is to come into awareness of that aspect of you. Don't judge it, just be curious about it,
Yeah.
and then try to mitigate against it. Because if you're conscious of how you're thinking and what you're thinking, it's much more easy. It's easier to control your mind or control your actions in response to it. But if it stays in the unconscious, you're going to act out on it somehow, some way, eventually. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting. There's this. I was thinking about cause and effect and blame. Like cause and effect are just the realities, I guess, of physics, and blame is the narrative behind it. You start, instead of just leaving it at cause and effect, you go straight. You add a story to it. I blame that person. So
Right.
it's not that car hit me and now I have a dent in my car. It's I blame that person for whatever reason.
Right. Yeah. 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 I think Brene Brown says it. She says it well. Like, blame is a discharge of anger and frustration.
I
I don't want to feel my pain. I don't want to feel that. Here's the thing. Life just is, right? There's no right or wrong to it. On one level of reality, there's no right or wrong. There's light and dark, and things happen, and life is not fair, and it just is. And if you can live in the isness of it, right, you're going to have a lot more peace, because then you're just accepting everything as it is. And so if you get in a car accident, somebody rear ends you, that just happened. Is it somebody's fault? Well, on one level, yes, it's somebody's fault, but on another level, it just happened. And if you can be in the place of this just happened, you're more likely to be in a place of acceptance. But life is also painful. There's no way around that. And you're going to suffer, and you're going to face tragedy, and you're going to fail, and you're going to be betrayed. And all of these things are painful. And in some way, we've been told that we shouldn't expect that from life. Like that's wrong. And it's
yeah,
just not,
yeah.
it's not true. So of course, if that's your mental model, you have to blame somebody else for your pain. And I understand the impulse, of course. And sometimes, you have a right to express your anger and your frustration if you've been betrayed, of course. But ultimately, you have to bring it back to yourself. I mean, it just is, and this is painful, and it's my responsibility to be with and feel my pain. That's the only way out of it. Staying attached to judgment and blame, well, then you're a slave to your emotions, and you're at the effect of the world, right? You're just bouncing around without any sovereignty.
And I've said this to people before too. Hey, I'm not racist. You're racist. I accept you for being racist. I accept you. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's fine. Like I get it. There was a home invasion robbery. It was 5 Chinese guys, and now you're upset at Chinese people. I get it. I ain't mad at you for that.
Of course.
I'm here for you. I help you work through that shit. We're cool. It's good. But don't think that I hate Chinese people. Don't put that on me. I'm cool. I like chopsticks and rice and all that shit. Motorcycles. Hey, what about are you familiar with Eckhart Tolle?
Sure.
He, going back to where we originally started the conversation, this gentleman has an unbelievable gift at saying nothing but pointing at the unknown. The least he calls it not nothing but no thing.
Right.
And he writes book after book pointing at this thing. This no thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm completely in love with that ability. This guy does it too. The Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu does it.
Yeah.
He's just like, hey, look at that. And everyone's like, I don't see nothing. He's like, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, this guy.
Yeah.
Thoughts on Mr. Tolle? Are you a fan?
Yeah. A New Earth. I listened to that on on
Whatever
Audible.
you say, I listen to it one more time than you do.
Well, every couple of years I play it. It's just, I've read The Power of Now. I haven't read these other books. Oh, I was in the movie Milton's Secret. They made a movie out of that, and I was in that. I didn't get to meet him though, unfortunately.
I don't know that story.
It's a story of a kid and his grandfather, and it's through a children's story. They try to articulate some of these concepts that Eckhart Tolle writes about. It's good. The movie was okay. Donald Sutherland played the grandfather, so I got to work with him and meet him, and that was pretty fun. He's quite a guy.
What year was that?
I want to say 2014, 15, something like that.
God, wasn't The Lost Boys a great movie?
I never saw The Lost Boys.
Oh man, dude.
I know. I don't know why. Yeah, there it is. Where am I? I'm in there. How did Steven Hauser build before me? What's going on?
Hey, I'll tell you why you're at the end. I have a theory.
You do? What's your theory? Bill Adams.
I'm just making. I was just going to do some conspiracy stuff. Hey, dude, you're not walking the LA path. You are.
No, I'm not. Well, I was always a little bit. I mean, growing up in Canada, which is a very liberal place, I was liberal, and then I got to Hollywood and voted for Obama twice. I thought Bush was terrible, and I didn't know any better. And maybe Bush was terrible, but my red pill was really in 2015. I wasn't like a fan of Trump. I wasn't into Trump. I was just paying attention to what was going on. I assumed Hillary was going to be the next president, and we're all going to get on with it. And then I would see these headlines about like something insane that Trump had said, and I'm just like, what? And then I would go watch it, and I was like, that's not what he said at all.
Right.
And I saw that over and over and over again. And I thought that is fucking dangerous. And it's exactly what the right was doing to Obama for 8 years, just lying about him, misrepresenting him. And I thought that why would you do that? You're just creating chaos. And then I saw the left do the same thing with Trump. And then I thought something's up here. Like this whole thing is corrupt. This is all just a game. And I'm like, why are they going after Trump so hard? I mean, he's a friend of theirs. He's been hanging out with them. He's just a real estate mogul, playboy at a reality show. I mean, they're calling him Hitler. That's when I thought, oh, he must know something. He must be about something. And then I woke up to it. I woke up to, I watched Cernovich's movie Hoaxed. That red pilled me. And then I started listening to the No Agenda podcast with Adam Curry and John C. Dvorak. And then it was on. It's a show that they deconstruct the media, and Adam Curry is just a fucking genius. And then it was really behind the scenes of like how much the media is lying about everything, and they have an agenda, and they're just pushing propaganda, and they're creating stories and narratives, and that's how you win. That's what it is. Yeah, that's what it is.
You just pointed something out to me that I wonder how big of a contributor this was to the chaos. So Trump would say stuff like, and this was kind of a big moment for me. I had some people in my house who were talking about how racist Trump was and how bad it was what he says about Mexicans. So while they were at my house, I went to my computer and I started digging around looking for what he said bad about Mexicans. And what he said was that he doesn't believe that the Mexican government is sending over their PhDs and their preschool teachers, basically, that they're sending over emptying their jails and sending over their criminals. And someone made the leap there to say that was racist. And like he did say some stuff like, hey, I would rather have a Jew than a black guy as my accountant. And I think that's totally fair. I don't think that's racist. I think that's discernment and prejudice, just like I would rather have a basketball player that's black than Jewish. I mean, I don't think that's racist either. I think that's just like some pattern recognition of discernment.
Yeah, right.
And I wouldn't want an Armenian as my accountant or my basketball player. So it's like, I can't these. And so that for me, that's when that's why I didn't, the second time I did vote for Trump when he ran against Biden. I was like, wait a second, they're lying. But I think what happened is more than it caused chaos. You know how people are always like, Trump made it okay to be racist.
Mm-hmm.
These people, I'm just learning this now in real time as I'm talking to you. These people made it okay to make illogical jumps.
That's right.
It's not that he made it okay to be racist. They made it okay to be publicly illogical.
Yeah.
I have a penis, but I'm a woman. I mean, they've made that okay to say.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy. This
A
is demonic.
detachment
It's
reality.
satanic. Yeah, it's the denial of
Uh-oh,
truth.
uh-oh, you triggered me. You triggered me.
You can't say demonic,
I
satanic.
just don't know what those words mean, dude.
Well, I mean, they're loaded words. Well,
I feel like there's so much emotional appeal to them. I'm projecting onto you too, by the way. Like, I fully get it, like it's my
okay.
issue. I I just hear like, this
Well,
podcast is full of Christians who wanna see me convert, and they try to tell me about Satan and demonic shit all the time. Like, dude, oh, here we
of
go.
Satan. It's Satan. I agree. Extremely evil or wicked.
Oh,
Yes,
don't you guys, he's never coming on again. Don't get excited. Caleb, thank you. Thank you for bringing this up. A satanic characteristic of Satan. See, it doesn't even mean anything. The definition doesn't even mean anything.
Well, they go to Satan.
Yeah, let's see what
Satan.
Satan is.
They're all metaphors. It's all metaphor. Don't take it literally. It's just a word. The word has power. And sometimes you need those words. I understand.
Don't talk down to me like my mom does. What are you doing?
I'm just explaining to you how I see it.
That's what she'd say too, David. That's what she'd say. You're on a roll. Did you get with her before the show?
Get with who?
Get with my mom. I said,
No,
you're talking to me like my mom.
I don't know your mom. I'm sure she's wonderful though.
A Satan, the angel who in Jewish belief is commanded by God to tempt humans to sin.
Yeah.
To accuse the sinners and to carry out God's punishment.
There you go.
Oh, he does that too? He carries out God's punishment?
Carries
I
out
didn't know
God's
that either.
punishment. The rebellious angel who in Christian belief is the adversary of God and the Lord of evil. I don't know. I look at all of it as metaphors. Satanic, demonic, but I think demons are real on some level. I mean, maybe they're just maybe it's not an external force, but we get captured by things, certainly ideas and beliefs that lead us into bad behavior, as I was talking about earlier. So, I understand why back in the day they would say that somebody was, captured by some demon. But it's probably just our own psyche, right? Our unconscious, like we're at war with ourselves in some way. So it feels like a demonic possession, but it's just our own psychology. But I think the words have value. I think they have utility because something is happening. I mean, there is a capture. It's real. There's some kind of, I mean, when people are saying that, women can have penises and men can get pregnant, and you're just lying every day about everything on the news. I mean, you can call it evil, Satan, whatever it is. It's not true. And the reason that I know that it's not true is because if you challenge it, they attack you. That's it. That's
what about the fact you can just look down into your pants too?
Well, there's that.
I mean, it is funny, but it's that.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I also think the conflation of using words like gender and sex is which both sides are equally guilty of. I think that's 90% of the problem. The conflation of words.
Right.
Gender is an inside term. It's made up. It's imagination, and sex is an outside term. It's something that's in objective reality. And when you start conflating the two, next thing we're debating is who would win in a fight, Superman or Batman. And it's like, dude,
right.
We all know that we're just making sure it's what I'm thinking in my head versus you're thinking in your head.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for gender and sex, it's just a fucking mess.
Well, and you can get caught in these word games all day long. And that's what most of the arguments are. It's just defining words. It's semantics. And that again, that's the tell. Because truth a child can understand truth. And when we hear truth, we shouldn't have to figure it out. It shouldn't be some long explanation or rationalization or redefining of words. Like truth is just a felt experience. And I think those who are, trying to deny the truth, I think it is evil. And I think there's an unconscious motivating force. Here's what I think it is. I think inside themselves, they feel chaotic. I think they have a lot of pain. They have a lot of rage. I think they're angry at life because they were told it was one thing and it's actually something else. It's not fair. It is harsh. You're going to suffer and you got to work hard and there's no guarantees. And people were not told that. They weren't given that information. So now they're filled with resentment and they want to find somebody to blame. and they're going to create a story in their head in any way that they can to rationalize this place where they feel like a victim, and they're going to, as I said, they're going to create enemies around that, and act out on this revenge, the revenge fantasies they have, because they're unable to make manifest what it is that they want in life.
When you're on a set and there's sexual tension, any creative endeavor, when you're on a set and there's sexual tension between the man and the woman, is it better not to act on it for the outcome of the play always, or the performance? Like, is that a tool that if you actually have intercourse or intimacy with the person, that you've wasted that tension?
I think so. I think
it pretty much is, right?
I think it's a bad idea to sleep with your co-star,
but not for like reasons like DEI reasons or human HR reasons. I'm just talking like for the craft itself.
Yeah, I think it's better to stay in the sexual tension of it. You don't know if it's real. That's the issue.
Right. You or by real, you mean it's being felt by both people?
Well, no, meaning it's like you're in this artificial environment and your job is to fall in love with each other.
Yeah.
And so you end up going there to some degree. And you know, when you're working with an actress, very often they're charismatic, attractive people.
Yeah.
So they're easy to fall in love with.
Yeah.
So you have to, my motto was always, I mean, I made the mistake early on, and my motto afterwards was, I'm not going to.
I mean, having intimacy with coworkers.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you felt that
stay away
tension
from it.
Yeah.
Until after. If it was over and we were done and time passed and we felt like there was still something there, then sure. But during the
time
shoot,
passed, you mean at the Academy Awards or at the Emmys party?
at the rap party.
Yes.
Yeah.
My current wife was with a guy for 5 years, and I had been courting her the whole time, and she kept me like at bay. And the day she broke up with him, she called me.
Really?
Yeah. And I went over there and we did it.
I've had that situation.
And I had a girlfriend too. I just went right over to my girlfriend. I broke up with her.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like that. It was crazy.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It was like, oh, I think she told me in person because it was before cell phones. And I was like, okay, hold on a minute. And then I just went over to this other area. It was in Isla Vista, California.
How long have you been married?
Well, we just got married like, I don't even know, a couple years ago, but we've been together I'm 51, since I've been in my early 20s.
And you have kids together?
Yeah. We just had kids recently.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
She saw some woman breastfeeding. We were living with a woman who was breastfeeding.
Mm-hmm.
And then another woman said to her, if you don't have kids, you might regret it. If you do have kids, you won't regret it.
That's right. That sounds
and
right.
then so then she's like, hey, I want to have one. And she was 39 and I was 43. And then she didn't want to, and then she wasn't going to have any more. But by then we'd been using protection, dude, for 20 years.
Really?
And then I got at that with no protection, and it was then we ended up with twins after that.
You have twins?
Yeah. We have 2 6-year-olds and an 8-year-old.
Good for you.
Yeah, it's cool.
So she was 39 when she first got pregnant.
Yeah, 39, and then had the twins at like 41.
How's that?
I mean, we're CrossFitters. I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Nuts and meats and fruit and vegetables, and we don't eat ice cream, and we think that working out until you fall on the ground and start crying is like healthy. I mean,
yeah,
you know what
that's
I mean?
great.
We have a pathology that we're acting out and exercise. She's a Vipassana practitioner.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I got my own fucking guru in the house. It's crazy.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you meditate?
Always.
Always.
I try to always have at least one 1% watching the show.
Right. Yeah.
Let's talk about this really quick. You and Andrew Tate got into a discussion about him not being present, but that needed to be defined because he is present.
Yeah.
Even my wife. So I was watching it. My wife came in the room, And she's like, he thinks because he's not paying attention to the present that he's not present, but he's clearly present because he knows he's not paying attention to the present. And he's paying attention to his thoughts. He's confused about what presence is, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She says it much more gently, and I'm like, wow, what a fascinating. It's like Eckhart Tolle said, some people, he'll be like, hey, you have to stay present. People are like, I'm throwing my calendar away. It's like, no, dude, you can make appointments for 2 weeks into the future in the present.
Yeah.
What did you think about that conversation? That was wild. About him, the presence part.
Well, he brought it up.
Yeah.
Which was interesting. He said, I'm not
he
a present
loves
person.
you. He loves you.
Yeah.
He loves you.
Well, because I love him.
Yeah. You guys loved each other. Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, and
it's cool. I'd like to see you guys play catch, like softball or something.
Yeah, there's definitely. I mean, I felt it in the first interview. It took a while, but by the end, there was a mutual appreciation. So which creates a safety, and he can see that I'm not out to get him. He can see that I see him maybe in a way that other people don't see him, and that I admire and appreciate him. And I'm not judging him. I really don't judge him. But I don't think, and I don't know. It was, what do I think about the presence thing? I mean, I could feel that he wasn't present, meaning he's answering questions, but I can see that he's taking in what I'm saying. He's running it through his super powerful mind, and then he's answering in a way that will allow him to stay in control of the conversation. And I called him out on that. And he was like, absolutely. That's exactly what I'm doing.
Yes. But isn't that, maybe, can you define presence for me? Because I thought he was present. I'm like,
well, yeah, I think he, in a way he is. It's a great question, right?
He's like, I'm not paying attention to my kids because I'm thinking about my work. I'm like, motherfucker, that means you're not present with your kids, but you are present. Because because you're watching what's going on.
Well, although it depends what's motivating you, right?
Okay.
Like if you are motivated by some unconscious force, some anxiety, some fear, and you are lost in the action that is trying to mitigate against that, you're not really present because there's something else motivating you. And so for me, just presence is just, can you come all the way into this moment with no agenda, with no thoughts, with no expectation? You're in the unknown. And most of us, myself included, Andrew included, that's a hard place to tolerate. It's a very, very hard place to tolerate. We'll go search it out in sports and different things and it feels so good when we get lost in something where almost like time does not exist. But in regular conversation, like you and me right now, like, yeah, there's a part of my brain that's thinking about what I'm going to say. And there's a little governor on like, well, this is being recorded. So, you don't say this or don't say that. And I don't want to say anything.
Don't pick your nose. Don't scratch your balls.
Exactly. Like it's very, very difficult to get totally present. But I guess with Andrew, it was more like, can you come actually present with me? Can we just be with each other without any agenda and see what that feels like? And we had a moment, and you don't really see it. Like I wish there was a shot that was up close of his face near the end where you see him drop the guard. I mean, you do see it. It's a wide shot. You see it in his body language. Like he does something, like he actually drops the guard. But if you think about his story, I don't know that he even knows what it feels like to drop the guard. I didn't. When I was that age, my guard was up. I loved my guard. My guard gave me power. I would go out in the hockey rink and dominate because of my guard. And it made me feel safe. It got me what I wanted in life. And so why would he give that up? Right. And that's the argument that essentially I was making to him, is that you don't have to give it up, but can you set it down so that it's not always habitually there? And maybe there's other realms. Maybe there's other ways of being that you currently don't have access to that would be beneficial to you, that would be helpful for you, that would make you more powerful. And I think presence is, that's what Eckhart Tolle's, what every fucking book is about. That, be present. And it's not easy to do.
And I like the way you were telling him, hey, dude, you put your sword. You can put your sword down, but it's right there. Like you can just pick it up and just grab that thing and start wielding it anytime you want.
Yeah, well, we all have a defense, all right? And when people come to therapy, you have to affirm their defense. Like there's a reason that they have a defense. It's a very good reason, and that defense is what helped them survive their childhood. So you can't just call them out on it and just say, "Hey, you need to give this up." You have to acknowledge, "Hey, this is what happened to you. This is why this defense got established. It served you well. It helped you survive. But now it's not useful to you anymore."
Look at
And
that. Oh, wow. Look at what a crazy frame grab you grabbed, Caleb. Of all the frame grabs,
wow,
look at you just giving it to him. A
wow.
few times you did give it to him. I was kind of surprised you gave it to him. Like you danced with him a little bit. You pushed into him a little bit. I was like,
Mhm.
wow. I didn't
Well,
see that coming.
he gave me the opportunity. He gave me the opening. I mean,
Yeah.
if you watch the interview, he gives me all kinds of openings. I mean, that told me that he wanted to go there. I mean, he sat down with me,
Right.
right? It's that's all you need to know.
Uh,
It's a
Um,
willingness there.
you talked about anxiousness and fear as being sort of the motivation to do stuff. I was in a conversation with someone the other day and I said something about being anxious and they said, "Why are you anxious?" I said, If I wasn't anxious, I wouldn't do anything."
Uh-huh.
And I don't think that they understood that what I was saying. I said, "Yeah, I would just lie down and die." Like I have to I wa um I don't think a lot of people realize what doing nothing really means.
Mhm. It's hard to do nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, I laid someone. I'm like, "Here, just go ahead and try it." And I laid them down, and they scratched their head. I'm like, "Well, why'd you do that? I thought you're supposed to do nothing." And they're like, "Well, because I had an itch." I'm like, "No, no, you didn't have an itch. You were experiencing that, and you acted on it because it was making you anxious or fearful or whatever the word
Right.
was. But you were having some sort of sensation of discomfort, and so you acted on it." And boy, this is and I learned all this from my wife and Vipassana and doing my own practice. Do you know who a guy named P.D. Ouspenskii is?
No.
He's a Russian, and you shouldn't, but he's a Russian mathematician from the turn of the century. And he's part of that lineage that Madame Blavatsky is from and Krishnamurti is from. You're
Mm,
familiar with Krishnamurti up in
yes.
Ojai? Okay.
Mhm.
And his thing, he wrote this book, all those book. Oh, what's that one in 2000 that says 2016? The possible psychology of man. What is it? The
Mm,
psychology of man's possible evolution.
interesting.
And you alluded to this model that he puts in there, David, that basically you're just a bunch of I statements. So imagine a checkerboard full of millions of I statements, and they're inside of you, and they're iron filings. And when they get agitated, they'll start looking for them in the outside world to validate their existence,
Right,
right?
yeah.
So he draws this, and he says some of the iron filings will like stick together in groups. Some groups don't know the other groups. Some group will be with group A and group B, and he lays out this whole psychological kind of cosmology based on these I statements.
Mm,
And so I won't go into it here, but at one point in my life, I decided that I was going to die, that I was going to kill myself, and
mm.
I found this book at the same time that I was trying to figure out how I was going to kill myself, and so I thought, "Oh, I don't want to hurt the body. I'll just lay down and deny all I statements." And through that process is where I found God, because eventually there
Wow.
become only two eyes left,
Mhm.
and then you see, then when those two go away, then you see what you are. You experience what you are.
I understand.
Yeah. And, um, and you have a complete fucking breakdown.
Yeah.
But it was only years later that I met my wife, and then I learned about Vipassana.
Oh, so this happened when you were young, this
Yeah,
experience?
19 or 20.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you've been on this journey a long time.
Yeah. But I needed, even after I woke up, and this is why I like Zuby so much, even after I woke up, it took a very special human being to come into my life to let me know that, hey, as you rebuild, you better define words and things,
Mm,
or else you'll build something and you won't even know how to deconstruct it.
right.
Like this person didn't know they were teaching me that, but that's at 51 now, I realize that, oh shit, don't let people get away with like using words that don't have like, so from where I'm sitting, the left has gender and the right has God.
Yeah.
Right. But they're both delusional. They're both
Mhm.
created. They're both created in their minds.
Right.
And and when they talk, I see them doing the exact same thing.
Mhm.
So that's why I get triggered by, these words that I'm like, okay, where is that? Where's Satan? Show me him. You know what I mean? Like,
I understand. I
yeah,
completely understand.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, words have power. I mean, I think it's a I'm struggling with this because the middle path is the honorable path in some way, but war is real. And sometimes you gotta
You
throw
scared
down,
me. You
man.
said something about war already that scared me that I'm afraid to ask you about. Yeah, war is real. You
War
already
is real,
said yeah.
and there's a place inside us where, you know, we just gonna take action and that's it, and
You
we
think
gotta
we're
let it.
going there, you said.
I think we're there. I mean,
Oh, good. We're
I
there.
think we're there. I think it's inevitable. I mean, you know, read The Fourth Turning and Ray Dalio's Changing World Order. They both, I mean, they look at the patterns of history, and the patterns of history suggest that war is inevitable. It's just a part of the cycle, and we're just gonna have to go through it, which makes sense. You know, in order for a new society to be born, the old one has to die, and it doesn't die easily. And
Did
so
you
it
ever
takes a war to make that change.
did you ever read this book Stranger in a Strange Land by Robert Heinlein?
No, I've heard of it.
There's this part in there where um this alien comes from another planet. He's a dude. You would love this book. It's like all the religions meshed into one.
Mm,
But basically, he says this thing that he said, "Man, you guys are fucking up." And they're like, "Why?" And he's like, "Because all the other um uh civilizations out there, if you want to be enlightened, the enlightened people can't have sex, right? They're all asexual.
mm.
But you on planet Earth are human beings, and you can have sex, you still procreate, and you can be enlightened. And you guys are just completely fucking that up. You're the last civilization that's in that kind of phase."
That's
Anyway,
interesting.
it's a awesome look at Matt showing off. I grok it. That's a term that they use in the book, grok.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's like I think it means like to fully understand something like it's like kind of like deeper than empathy
I
even.
see.
It's like
I like
empathy
that.
on roids.
I grok it. Okay. That looks great. That sounds great. I'd like to read that. I
The
will.
audiobook's awesome. I listen to the
Mm,
audiobook. The guy who reads it, his voice is amazing. He's this guy's contemporaries with Ray Bradbury and Alfred Hitchcock. They
okay.
were like, and who's the guy who did the Scientology thing? He was friends with him
L.
too.
Ron Hubbard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Did you ever go down that path?
I've read some. I haven't read all of, but probably about 100 pages of. Is it what's it called? Dianetics or something?
Yeah, Dianetics.
Yeah. I thought it made perfect sense what they were saying. You know, it's like they're breaking down things psychologically, and I was like, oh yeah, that's a valuable model. How they implement that into the religion of Scientology, from what I've heard, it sounds insane, but I think the basic principles make sense.
What about aliens? Have you played around with it, the thought of aliens come into your brain at all? Like that those guys exist or that they're here with us now?
Well, I know two ayahuasqueros, so shamans, close friends of mine, who are in the Shipibo tradition. These are the real deal. These guys are the real deal. And both of them claim that essentially aliens are running the ceremony, that they drink the medicine, they tune in, the aliens come, and then the aliens essentially tell them what to do. And that's what they do. So these guys are in deep relationship with aliens. Now, what is that? Is that their own mind? Is that the framework they use to make sense of something that's incomprehensible? I mean, when Bashar, You ever heard of Bashar? This guy, he's like a channel. He's all over the place. And
Bashar?
Bashar, and he's hilarious, and he's very wise. And he gets his real name is Daryl Anka, and he's a film producer. I think he lives in L.A., but he has this character that he plays. It's a channeled character named Bashar, and as Bashar, he's channeling some alien intelligence and speaking their wisdom to the people who are asking him questions. So he's just channeling this alien. I don't know what alien. But when you see him interviewed as Daryl Anka, there he is. He just says, well, I don't know. That's the framework that my mind makes up. But maybe it's aliens or maybe it's just my higher self. I don't know. Which I thought was interesting.
Oh, he says he doesn't. He says he doesn't know.
He said that's how Bashar makes sense of it. When I mean that
Yeah.
that's the story. And so we tell ourselves all kinds of stories, and they're all pointing to something. None of them are really real. We can't know what's real, right? It's like there's reality is the source code, right? And then the way that we make sense of it is through the avatars that we create in our mind, through the stories. But the stories they're not the thing. They're just a layer on top of the thing.
When you say you can't know what's real, can you know what's not real?
I think you can know it's not real, but you can never fully grasp the fundamental nature of reality. That's what I believe. It's unknowable.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that.
It's unknown. It's
even if you're wrong, even if we're wrong, it's like, and I'm not one to argue my limitations, but what a boring life it would be. By the way, that is why I wanted to end my life, because I thought I knew everything. I had reached like this state of just like basically ultimate boredom.
Interesting.
And I'm like, well, there's only one journey left inward, and I'm gonna turn myself off.
Yeah.
So to become more superficial, like we know that red doesn't mean stop, but yet we all follow that command in order to make things work. But it's not real.
It's not real, right?
Right.
It's a great metaphor.
But thank you. I've used it 500 times on the show and no one's ever said that. Thank you. I needed that. Fuck you, Caleb. I see you laughing back there in the back. But we know that the thing dangling over the street with the light in it.
Yeah.
We know that's real.
What do you mean?
The thing that I'm cruising around on planet Earth with 5 senses, if I drive my car into it, like it's going to hit it.
Right.
Things are going to change.
I understand.
That's what I mean by we know that's real.
Yeah.
And even if that's not real, I'm perfectly comfortable claiming that it is.
Right. I understand.
And I think I think it's important, if we're going to be a civilization, that we agree on some of these premises.
I think that's probably the source of the war that we're in. We're not agreeing on these premises.
Yeah.
You know, it's essentially it's like every war in history. It's a war of religion, which is a war of belief, which is a war of ideology, which is a war of the story that we're telling. And so
what if they win, dude? Sorry to interrupt, David. What if they win? Their shit would be so chaotic. Like if they. How does any of their shit function? How do they pick food and put it in a basket if there's not a like?
I don't know.
How does their shit gonna function?
I don't think it can win. I think it's.
Thank you.
I think they're deranged, and I think that kind of derangement ultimately turns on itself, and evil sows the seeds of their own destruction. So I think it's inevitable.
Oh, I like the way you said that, because that's something else I noticed a couple years ago. The woke have no loyalty.
No.
Like they just will fucking eat each other. They don't give a shit.
No, they don't give a shit. Yeah. Well, as I said, I think they're in a derangement. I think it's motivated by trauma. I mean, there's a lot of factors for it. Who knows? I mean, Camille Paglia claims that late stage empires always suffer from androgyny. It's a characteristic of an empire in decline, which is really interesting. Apparently it happened in ancient Greece and in Rome. And so now we have this transgender issue, which is essentially androgyny. And maybe it's just a symptom. You know, you lose polarity once a culture loses polarity, the balance between the masculine and the feminine, that there's no charge anymore. And when there's no charge, when there's no tension, when no balance in that way, things turn to, it's kind of mushy. You know, there's no energy behind it. I mean, and I don't mean this in any, you know, listen, I'm incredibly sympathetic to a lot of the transgender people, but when you actually look at them physically, there's no energy there, right? There's something energetically it doesn't feel aligned. There's something else going on in most cases. And so listen, I'm not all about like purity necessarily, but I do think as I've grown older, I've really started to understand the utility of the balance between the masculine and the feminine, and the gender roles and the utility of them. I don't think it needs to be rigid. I think it can be fluid in a way, but there's something real about that. And I experience it in my relationship, but I also experience it in my work relationship, because I have a partner that I work with who's a woman. And the more that we allow ourselves to, I don't know, just to be in that dynamic, the more power we have. And I find that interesting. And the more we connect, it almost feels like that's a way to God as well. Like I work with the Native Americans. I do a lot of work with the Lakota people, you know, in their ceremonies. They're very patriarchal, and the men and women are separate. Now, that's not to say that women aren't powerful in their culture. They are very powerful. I mean, if a woman is the most powerful person in the tribe, she's not going to be the chief, but it doesn't mean that she doesn't have the most influence, right? So it is egalitarian in a lot of ways, but there's a separation between the masculine and the feminine, and it feels good. There's something about it that I really enjoy. I really like, and it almost makes, from my perspective as a man, appreciate women and the feminine more, and more than appreciate, almost revere, and want to, inspires me to provide and protect. So
it's interesting that we come full circle on that too, because I was talking about that tension in the workplace when you are being creative. If you and a girl are painting a mural, you've been hired to paint a mural, and it's going to take 2 months to paint, and you show up there every single day and you haven't boned her, and you build this relationship while you're painting the mural, it's going to be a fucking amazing mural. You're going to be on a ladder. She's going to be on a ladder.
Exactly,
you guys are going to be working hard. You're never going to show up late. You're never going home early. You're not calling in any sick days. You're doing your best work to show her how great you are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Tension.
Yeah. But if you drill her, she drills you, or you get a handy, it's toast. It's toast. It's all spilt milk. Yeah, I fully see it. When that was something else you were sort of talking about with Danny that I thought was interesting. I have friends who courted women by being nice to them, and they could, and it seems like the duration of being nice to a man can do it. This is just my anecdotal 50-cent psychotherapy, but a man can do that for about 2 years. He can be nice to a woman. And then he starts not wanting to be nice to her, but then she starts wanting someone else to make the decisions. Like a woman wants a man to make decisions, right?
Yeah.
And if he's not making decisions, it'll start to lead to like chaos.
That's
and
right.
Then if you bring kids into the picture, you'll see that their kids live under this tremendous amount of stress.
Yeah.
And because they don't have a man around making decisions for them. And those decisions lead to, structure and discipline and all of those things.
Yeah.
But it's pretty wild. Yeah, but the roles have to be played.
They have to be defined.
Yeah.
They have to be defined. And generally most men, are in the masculine, and most women are in the feminine. So like work with those polarities. Most people are happy in those roles. I mean, with my fiance, it took some time. It took some time for me to step into it, because I grew up being told that was wrong. Opening up a car door for a woman was wrong. That men and women
really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, I got shamed in university for fucking trying to be romantic. Men and women are the same. That's what I was told. Same thing we're being told now. There's no difference.
Did your mom teach you that too?
No, my mom didn't teach me that. But
Oh.
my mom was, worked a lot. She was a single mother. I mean, she had ultimately got remarried. So I grew up with she wasn't a feminist at all, but she was just doing what she wanted. She lived her life. She was very active in the community and active in her job. So I just grew up with that. I never got it. I just thought men and women are different. They're the same, or they're equal on one level. And that's just what life is. But then I got to University of Toronto, and it's a very liberal college, and got told all these things. I was like, okay, I guess I didn't know. I was 19. I was okay. And then when I actually started dating this woman from Texas, when I got to Hollywood, she straightened me out. She said, "What the fuck are you talking about? I need you to open my car door. I need this. I need that. I need you to be chivalrous." And I was like, "I thought that's sexist." She's like, "What? No."
She doesn't need it. We fucking need it. We need to do it because we're such pussified 21st century men. We're not going to shoot a bore for you. Sorry, all we can do is open the door, but it's something. We'll take your luggage out of the trunk. We're going to do all that shit. Yeah.
Of course, it feels good.
We're running the shopping cart back. You don't ever run the shopping cart back. You don't ever take the trash out.
That's right.
Hunter, I take trash out.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck, let us do something, right?
Yeah. 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 I think it's a very confusing time to be. I was confused for a long time, and I'm just coming to this now, really. And in my relationship, it's been a bit of a struggle to figure it out. We haven't figured out, but it took some time because she also was told when she was a young girl, like, never rely on a man. Make your own money, which is good advice. And I would probably tell the same thing to my daughter to some degree, but inevitably you have to rely on a man. If you're a woman, you want to have children. There's no way out of it.
Do you think you're going to have children?
I hope so. We're talking about it.
Do you know how to do it?
I think so.
All right. Because my mom wrote my mom sent me a 1-page email
about how to do it.
Yeah, my fucking mom.
Well,
I grew up with a very powerful woman. First, very powerful woman. My sister was physically extremely powerful, and my mom was intellectually very powerful. And my mom was the first woman to graduate from her law school. And but dude, you like, if a woman comes in the room, you better fucking stand up.
I love that.
And like, you better hold the door open, and like you don't eat until the woman starts eating, and like you pay for shit. And like there were rules.
Yeah.
There were rules about how you treat women.
Yeah. I think we have a responsibility as men to do that. And women have their own responsibility in that as well.
Right. And what's cool is you met that lady who retrained you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing that they don't realize, like how much cues they are. Like, you're training us, and we're open to being trained.
Right.
We'll be strong and powerful and handle our man shit, but we're also open to being trained.
Yeah. You want to be, I mean, here's how I see the whole masculine, feminine thing. It's the dance, right? The man leads the dance, and he creates the frame, literally the frame, the structure. And in that structure, and in the man leading, the feminine, the woman can surrender into his leadership and just let go and allow the full expression of herself. Now, is the man leading independent of the woman? No, he's attuned to her. And so he's leading in response to what she's giving back. So you could argue that they're actually leading the dance together. He's just the one who's holding the frame and actually leading it.
He can't dance without you. Isn't that enough? He's just a jackass without you.
So people get caught up. They're just roles. Somebody's got to play one role. Somebody's got to play the other. Like, that's how a fucking dance works. You can't have two people leading. You can't have two people following. So, that's how you do it. And I think it's just that.
Like I think of the sun and the earth like that. The sun spends its entire existence is fucking the shit out of the earth. And the earth's entire existence is just birthing shit. But without the earth, the sun, what a boring fucking existence. And without the sun, the earth is just a fucking another rock.
That's right.
but they have such structure, such discipline,
Mm-hmm.
such routine, such commitment.
Well, I guess
Some would even call it gravity.
And maybe you can apply the same principle to good and evil. Like you can't have good without evil. You can't have light without the dark. And so they both play their part. They both play their role. And so while I'm sitting here saying we're in a war against evil, like I in some way I appreciate the evil, because it's, as I said earlier, it's causing me to find deeper parts of myself and know myself in a way that I've never known myself before, and to find an internal strength. So I'm grateful for it. And maybe that's just the cycle. The evil does need to rise. It plays a purpose. There's a great book by Howard Bloom called The Lucifer Principle. And it's about the nature of evil. And the hypothesis, the premise is that evil is real. It's here. We see it. So it must serve some evolutionary purpose. And what is that purpose? And he goes throughout history and, again, finds patterns of evil and shows you how it works. But yeah, evil always leads to the evolution of a culture, the evolution of a society, the evolution of technology. So it's playing its part. And so I guess you said that, I always want that 1% observer self, and this is what it feels like. This is how I try to be in the world. I don't do it perfectly, but I try to be all the way in life, 100% committed. And then there's a part of me that's like watching that. And so I'm of two parts, but I don't want to sit back and be the spiritual guy, like in a cave, just observing everything. I want to be in the muck of life. And so if there's a war, I want to be in it.
Right.
Right. I want to be in it. And also, like, there's another part of me that knows that it's all just a game, and it's real on one level, but it's just energy and consciousness playing out, working itself out in some way we can't understand, and for reasons that we'll never understand, or maybe we will, but not on this plane. And it's like David Cho, he talked about, if you want to be an artist, you have to approach your art like you take it totally fucking seriously. You have to take your art totally fucking seriously, and you have to treat it like it's all just one big joke at the same time. And I thought that was just the best advice. And if you can find that sweet spot and hold both of those things at the same time in everything, I think you're free.
Yeah.
And I think you're actually more in the truth of what life is.
Sometimes on this podcast, I'll purposely take long, uncomfortable silences just to show off that I take it fucking serious, but yet.
Yeah, you seem to have that
I could do what I want.
Place.
But I do it because I'm just showing off. There's this book called Urantia that someone showed me. I had when I was in college. And basically what they said that the aliens are they live all around us and they harvest energy off us.
I've heard that.
You have heard that?
Yeah.
And so the only reason why that makes sense to me, and this is before the movie The Matrix came out, but was because I just think of the world as like Legos.
Uh-huh.
And it's just same thing over and over, just scale. So we harvest cows, aliens harvest us, ants harvest aphids. It's like, you know what I mean? It's just like this cycle of just going off into infinity of these this is going to sound negative. I don't mean it to be, but this predatory group, right? Of just one living off of the other. I'm going to switch subjects here. Maybe that we'll come back to that one. What do you think about people who are afraid to be emotionally hurt? Like I'm all in. Like, girls leaving town in 2 weeks. Who gives a shit? Fall in love with her, and when she leaves, you have your heart broken and just experience the whole thing. Go for it.
Well, but that could be a defense. She's going to leave in 2 weeks, and you don't have to commit to her, and you don't have real intimacy, and that actually is a way of protecting yourself from emotional hurt.
Okay, I'll use another example. My biggest fear in life would be to lose a child, and yet I still had one. I'm willing to face, the real reason why I would do the thing with the girl in 2 weeks is neither of those. It's just because I was just a horn dog, and I just I'm short-sighted. It's not that I'm brave. It's like, I'll deal with that later.
Yeah, exactly.
But do people really actually protect themselves emotionally? Is that a real phenomenon?
Yeah, I think so.
What's that? Like, I have friends who they took forever to find a girlfriend because they would playing out. They were sabotaging. Well, I don't know if they were sabotaging, but they'd play out every relationship in their head and be like, "Oh, this one's not going to work out," even though they're on day 3.
Yeah.
And then they recoil. Is that protecting yourself emotionally? Why would anyone do that? I don't get why you'd protect yourself emotionally.
Because they feel like the pain will kill them.
The pain will kill them.
They have a belief that the pain will kill them.
Can you give me some anecdotal story of how that happens? Doesn't even have to be real.
Yeah. No, I can. I'll tell you. I'll talk about myself. So my mother left my father when I was 6, remarried, and then left my stepfather when I was 18, and that second one was a scandal in our community, and because she was having an affair, and I felt humiliated. Now, I didn't know any of this about myself until I started in therapy about 10 years after all of that happened. But what I learned from my perspective was that women can't be trusted and that relationships equal pain. So, of course, I stayed away from getting really intimately involved with women and relationships. That was my association. And they were extraordinarily painful for me. And there was no space for me to feel any of that. There was nobody came to me and said, I know this must be hard for you. I wonder what you're going through. It was all just swept up under the rug. So I also had this belief that women they don't care about your feelings, right? They're not attuned to your feelings at all. And, it's not that my mother was a bad mother. She wasn't. She was great. She was doing her best. Obviously, I'm here. I got a lot of love from her. She was just very young and she was overwhelmed. But that was the result of it. And so this is why it's taken me so long to get married, because there was some part of me that was just terrified of opening up my heart, because I thought it was going to, I was inevitably that I was going to be betrayed. I was going to be left. I was going to be abandoned. That was not something in my consciousness. I would make up some excuse. I haven't really found anyone yet, or somebody, I haven't found that person to connect with, whatever. I would always make something up. But the truth was, I was just terrified of having my heart smashed open. And when you're a little kid and your heart is broken, it's hard to tolerate that. So we cut off from that feeling, right? We disassociate, and this protection comes up, and we make a choice in response to the pain. And in my case, the choice was, I'll never trust. I'm never going to trust. I'll never trust women because you think about the logic of it. It's perfect. If I don't trust women, I can never be betrayed. Mm-hmm. And if I'm never betrayed, I never have to feel this pain. It makes perfect sense. The problem is that comes with a heavy cost. You don't get the real intimacy that, of course, we're longing for. And so I had to do a lot of work to get on the other side of that. And it took a long time. I mean, I was single from 38 to 50, I was single and celibate for a lot of those years. And I didn't even know why. I couldn't figure it out, because I'd always had, plenty of girlfriends. We'd date for a year or two and then break up. But I went through this period of time where I took a break from women, and it took me that time to figure it out. And I had to feel the depths of my loneliness and also the depths of my longing. And I had to be willing at some point to trust, to open up my heart and say, okay, I'm gonna trust. And I'm with a woman now, and I tested her nonstop, and I probably still do in ways, and which is
Like
not
by
really.
test her, you mean to see if she's gonna leave you? Like you put her in you set up situations for yourself to be hurt. Like, okay, is she gonna hurt me?
Yeah, well, I think
You walk around the rim of the Grand Canyon
if
with your
she
back to
does
her.
if
Is she
she
gonna push
does
me?
any yeah, well, if she does anything that I construe as she's not like selfish, like if she's not taking care of me, she's not attuned to me in some
Mhm.
way,
Mhm.
I'm hyper vigilant about it, and it's taken me a long time to get over. I would take everything personally. So
Mm.
she zones out sometimes. She's an artist. She gets lost in her world,
Yeah.
and I would take that personally. I'm like, you didn't just hear what I said. I said we have to go do this thing, and now you're asking me like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And I would get very, very angry. And what was that? That was just the child inside me that felt neglected by his mother in that moment, and that was very painful for me. So very often in relationships, we're in our history. We're acting out from our history. We're not in reality, and we have to. I think part of the work of relationship is to become completely discerning about what's real, what's actually happening in the moment. Am I seeing this person, or am I seeing them through the lens of my experience as a child, through the lens of my pain, through the lens of the whatever it is that I projected onto my mother or father, whatever that is. And that's not an easy thing to do because there's such a deep emotional charge to these issues, and that's why relationships are so important, and they are the best opportunity that we have for healing. You're going to come to know yourself best through relationship. I mean, for me, going out on a vision quest, 4 days, 4 nights, no food or water, completely alone, that's easy for me. Being in a relationship, that's hard for me.
Yeah. I think it was Ramdas who said it, or someone said it back from that genre. You think you're enlightened? Go move it back in with your parents.
Exactly. Yeah, well, it's like the Dalai Lama, these people, the guy, a Buddhist monk, sits in a cave all his life and, claims that he's found peace. I'm like, okay, go get married, have some kids, and drive to work every day and see how you do. Like, let's put this to the test. Can you stay zen through all of that? I have a lot of compassion for people who are just regular people who are in relationship, having kids like yourself, and trying to make it all work, because that's the ultimate challenge. I remember being with a friend of mine. I was on my motorcycle. I was about to drive out to Joshua Tree to do an ayahuasca ceremony. It was one of my first ones, and he's like, do you know any of these people? I said, no, but they come recommended. He's like, so you're going to drive out to the desert and you're going to drink this shit that's going to take you totally out of control
Yeah.
with a group of people you don't know? I said, yeah. He's like, fuck, you're crazy, man. But he said it with a kind of admiration.
Yeah.
And I said to him, listen, that's nothing, man. You're married with 2 kids. You're in an ayahuasca ceremony 24/7, bro.
Right. um, I want to the kids thing. I wonder what your thoughts are on if a human being doesn't have kids, if there is a and now I'm going to use the word Satan, but I'm going to call it a lotus. If the lotus doesn't open up all the way, if a woman doesn't have a baby, the caterpillar never turns into a butterfly. Is there a piece to the species and to the brain that doesn't have an experience that leads to its full maturation without a child?
I mean, I've never had a child, so I mean, in some way, I can't answer that question. I mean, intuitively, it feels true. I would like to have that experience. I would like to know what that is. And my instinct is that it will make me a better person. It will inspire something in me that will move me towards the full expression of who I am. That's my instinct about it. But
it moved me closer now that I'm talking to you to violence.
Oh yeah, and what? Say more.
I always had a plan that if someone broke into my house, that I would climb out the window and check into the Four Seasons and go to the bar and get drunk. Like, I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like, fuck you, take what you want. Now, one day I heard a noise in my backyard and I just fucking went and got the gun and went outside ready to kill something.
For sure.
And I'm just like, I came back in the house and my wife's like, "Where'd you go?" I was gotta kill someone in the backyard. And I was like, holy fuck. What happened to me?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I would have gone to the tranny reading hour at the library and I would have taken a 6-pack of Budweiser and some Vicodin and just enjoyed it. Now I'm like, what the fuck are they doing that? Why are there men who have an unquenchable desire to dress up as women being fucking the main readers at the public libraries around the country? Can't we have Navy SEAL reading hour? What the fuck is going on? Like, something in me is like,
any man who wants to dress as a woman and read fucking shit in front of kids is a fucking weirdo, obviously.
Yeah, but I didn't care at first. I'd have just parked my motorhome in the parking lot of the library and just with some friends and gotten drunk. And then went, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But something that's so having kids has made me I think less, boy, this hurts to say, maybe less enlightened.
Why?
It's made me more attached to attached. Like I'm protecting the nest and I'm building the nest and I have I'm concerned about the world more. I'm more worldly.
Yeah. Why is that less enlightened? Like I see it as, is a lion not enlightened?
There's this Taoist saying that says Lao Tzu said this, all problems must flourish before they come to an end. And if you stand up against evil, you will cause it to grow. Meaning, like, you build the retaining wall to protect your house, and the waves that crash on either side of it will erode the cliff even faster. And I see that as that bit of wisdom, and yet
you're a primate with instincts.
I see that wisdom. I'm aware of that wisdom, and yet I consciously throw my middle finger in the air to it.
Well, because you have an instinct to protect your children, your family.
Yeah.
Is that to me, that's enlightened. That's real. Like, you can't deny that. I don't think that's something to be.
It shows a little bit of a lack of faith.
Faith in what? God?
Yeah, I don't know. In the course of nature, into that this thing is unfolding as it's supposed to be. Which is sort of the core tenets of my success.
Well, but aren't you following your own instinct? Isn't that following God?
Yeah.
Like, you have an instinct that comes. It's not a thought. It's
right.
Not an ideology. It's an instinct, which everybody has. It would seem to me that following that instinct is following God, because where does that instinct come from? It comes from God, so it has to be right. It has to be good. That's how I see it.
There's this other Taoist saying that says, boy, I'm remembering them all today. You're bringing the best of me. Only a confused man makes decisions. And I fully see that.
Right. It's a good one.
I fully see that. I'm like, oh God, that's like.
Right.
Eaton Beaver, just two good dudes pontificating about the meaning of life with a couple hundred friends listening in.
Thank you, Eaton.
What about the predicament that gay dudes are in? No.
Which predicament?
Like, you need someone who's like throttling back the ejaculations. Like, you can't just have two dudes just like if you have a wife, like you got to do shit. You got to bring in the groceries. You got to juggle. You got to make money. You have to invent a light bulb. You have to like she wants a gardening bed. You got to go back there and build that shit for her. Like you have to do shit like to get the pussy. Not like it's transactional like that, but you're
Right.
you're working out. You're
You got to earn it.
yeah, and you're and it's part of the fun, it's part of the thing. And I'm not saying
Yeah.
that gay dudes don't need to do that too, but like gay dudes were that sexual relationship reminds me of just me and my friends getting a bag of Doritos and playing Super Mario Brothers and cutting
Right.
school for a month.
Right.
It's like, dude, there's like no one there like, hey, you gotta ride the
Dude,
exercise.
they're all horny. They all want to
Yeah.
fuck. It's like, it's easy.
Like,
It's almost too easy. I mean, gay
yeah.
men are no, not all gay men. I don't want to make a blanket statement, but very often they're extremely promiscuous, as I would have been had I been gay.
For
I'm
sure.
going to gay orgies all the time in my 20s. It sounds great
sure.
if that's what you're into.
How could you not be if you're a dude?
Exactly.
That's another just important thing I don't hear talked about enough of that important in I just wonder how that works. Rambler, I have gay friends, they're horny as fuck. Yeah, well, everyone's horny as fuck, but it's like you got to plant some trees and shit and then come back in the house and like you have sweat dripping off you so your wife's like, "Oh, you look good." And I'm not saying that gay guys aren't attracted to each other. I don't want anyone to misconstrue this, but I just feel like without women there's no regulator. It's just you just throw a brick on the gas pedal. Yeah, you just throw a brick on the gas pedal and just let it rip.
Right. I mean, there are guys, Leonardo DiCaprio and others. That's basically. I mean, listen. I saw Leonardo DiCaprio post Titanic at the Playboy Mansion walk into a party, and there must have been 30 girls that just swarmed him, maybe more, and they were all around him, and it was crazy. And I don't know what happened, but what I know is that guy has access. He could, I'm sure he could have picked every one of them or all of them and brought them wherever he wanted to and fucked them all. I mean, that was the vibe. So I don't know what that's like, but it has to. I mean, I actually know somebody, another actor, I won't mention his name, that he was on a movie when he was a teenager. And when he got home from the set every day, it was shot on location in this small town, a small city, let's say. There was women at the hotel. He was 19. And he just, every night, it was like a new girl that he would fuck. And he said it ruined him.
In what way?
Well, he couldn't stay faithful to his wife. The sex was so simple. It was so easy. It was so transactional in that way that he just, it did something to him and he regretted it. And so I don't think promiscuity is good for anyone.
I had this friend who she was so remarkably powerful, and she was on a softball team with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
And she basically at every practice and every game she fucked him in the bathrooms there. That was the extent of their relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's a lot of that going on.
Yeah.
I mean,
what a wild scene. She got with a lot of famous people. Were there women like that? I think she fucked Jared Leto. She had this whole list of dudes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had to be friends with her for a long time to get the list, but starfuckers, someone called them.
Yeah, for sure. They're everywhere. I
God,
get it. I get it.
Yeah, I get it too. I get it too. I'm not hating.
Yeah. But
you work
they exist.
You work at a fancy bar or a dinner place in Hollywood, and every night it's like George Clooney, The Rock, Jared Leto, Leonardo DiCaprio, like P. Diddy.
You're a young woman, you're attractive. It's like you have an opportunity to have sex with some movie star. You want to have that experience, or some athlete. Like, I get it. Again, I think there's a price to pay for all of that. Nothing's free. There's consequences, but that's a choice.
What if the woman makes more money than the man? Do you think that is that bad?
Yeah.
My mom told me that recently, and I couldn't believe that was coming from her.
Mm-hmm.
I could not believe my mom said it's bad for the power dynamic. And I was like, what, the power dynamic?
I think so. I don't, again, I don't think it's 100%. I think if the man is on his mission and he's dedicated and he's purposeful and he feels confident, I think that can mitigate against the, the financial imbalance. But if he's unhappy in his career, or he feels like he should be making more money but can't, and he's got some anxiety and fear about that, I just think that a woman ultimately is going to find that unattractive.
Okay, so that's why you think.
I think it's an energetic thing more than anything else. It depends on the situation, but I think most women, they want to be with men who make, I mean, we know this. This is just
Right,
data suggests
right.
they want to be with men who make more money than they do, as much or more. They want to be taken care of.
I saw something to me that explained a lot the other day. I saw this guy talk, it was just a couple interviews, but this guy said, would you rather go out with an obese guy or a short guy? And the women said obese guys. And I was like, fuck.
It's crazy.
Because I'm 5'5". I had to work for every little, you're tall, right?
Yeah, I'm tall.
Yeah. How tall are you?
6'1".
Yeah. It was good. The women like you.
Yeah, I've been since I was a little boy. Women have liked me, and it's been a thing in my life. It's defined my life in a way that hasn't always been great. I mean, obviously, it's nice to be attractive to the opposite sex, but I felt objectified my entire life. I mean, I remember being,
God, I would love to feel that. Fuck, I always wanted
well,
to feel that. I just wanted some girl just to walk up and be like, just fuck me in the back. I cannot believe how awesome.
Well, it wasn't like that. I mean, I wasn't
want to be treated like a piece of candy.
The bad boy. Yeah. I mean, I had a friend who was the bad boy. All the women wanted to fuck him. Yeah. No, I was the nice guy. But yeah, I remember a gaggle of girls when I was in the first grade. They were in the fourth or fifth grade, gathered around me, and it's like, oh my God, he's so cute. He's so cute. Oh, he's going to be so handsome when he grows up. And I got all this attention. I was made special. And there was something about it that obviously I liked, but there was another part of me that felt it was weird because now I'm separate. I'm not like everybody else. And then my parents divorced and I was at a Catholic school, and that made me separate. And separate is not a good feeling when you're that age. It really didn't give me any power. It was actually humiliating on some level.
That girls liked you? It was humiliating?
Well, not humiliating because it separated me from everybody. I mean, obviously as I got older into high school, where, I wanted to get with girls, it was a different situation. But when you're just a little boy, and when you have like girls that are older than you gathering around, it's actually kind of scary.
Yeah.
But I became identified with that, became identified with being the good boy, became identified with pleasing women, that somehow my role in this world was to make women happy. That's what I had to do with my mother. When she left my father, I became the de facto man. And my strategy was to, my own survival strategy was, okay, well, I'm going to, keep mom happy. I'm going to meet her needs. That's going to create stability in this house. And that's how I'm going to survive this situation without my father. But I became identified with that and took it out into the world. And that was my whole career as an actor. I was the good guy. I was the nice guy and who would say all the right things and was romantic. And that's ultimately why I left acting, because I felt like I was in this box, and I wasn't that. I wasn't a nice guy, and keeping up that appearance was painful, and it was frustrating, and I felt resentment, and I didn't understand why. And when I started in on this therapy that I now do, I mean, it was a group therapy, and it gives permission for everything. I just became a fucking asshole. I let it out, and it felt so good to let out that part of me, and then see what it was about. And now I mean, I still struggle with it because, Gilmore Girls and on my social media, a lot of, fans of that show, but it's kind of over now. You know, I was at the Trump's speech in January 6th. I wasn't at the Capitol, but there's all kinds of stories written about it, and I made some cracks on social media. So I'm outed, you know, I'm out. I'm out. I'm a bad guy. I've spoke up about the transgender stuff. I've
Oh,
called
I
out
love
Black
your
Lives Matter.
transgender stuff is great.
I'm pro-Trump. You know, they just, I'm
You
out.
can't be a Hollywood if you're pro-Trump.
No, I don't think so.
Seema Globes. I really wish Sevi had watched all 7 seasons of Gilmore Girls. This conversation could have been epic. Could have been. I'll watch all 7 seasons and then have him
No,
back on.
don't bother. Don't bother.
The Trump thing is pretty crazy. That whole January 6th is another just crazy, preposterous thing. That was I went back to right after that started going down. That was another thing that kind of like made me realize that some weird shit was going on. I went back and read the transcripts, and I got them from ABC News, and I watched all the stuff I could see on CNN. I stayed to all the liberal rags.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find anything where he even closely incited violence. It was actually marched peacefully in the whole thing.
Dude, he was so chill the whole, there was no aggression or no anger in his, I was there. It was totally chill. I mean, I understand why people are upset about the whole thing, but it, you know, and I understand people, I don't like Trump. I get it. But this whole thing is a fucking charade.
Yeah.
It's a setup.
Sevan, why did
Lorelai
and Christopher not work out? Are those characters from your show?
Yeah, it's a great question. You know what I think? I don't. Well, I mean,
did you know the writers? Did you know the writers?
Yeah, but season 7, they the main writer left the show, and so everything season 7 was completely different vibe. But we got married. I was the dad. This premise of the show, it's a mother and a daughter, and the mother had the daughter when she was 16, very young. And so now the daughter is 16 and the mother is 32. And that's when we meet them, and they're like best friends. I played the dad of the little girl. So the ex.
You had sex with a 16-year-old girl?
When I was 16.
Oh, you were saying, okay, good.
Yeah, we were both 16.
So you were 32 also?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, yeah, my character would come in and always create trouble, right? And because there was this fantasy, I think, that the family's going to get back together, which I think all children have that fantasy when their parents split up. But it would never work out because I was kind of irresponsible and all this. And then she had this other guy who was like a nice guy, and she had to get with Luke in the end. It was just one of those shows, you know, it was a Sam and Diane situation. Of course, Sam and Diane have to end up together in the end. It couldn't have been Christopher. The other thing is there was some contractual shit also going on that I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but it's funny how shows can be influenced by actors' availability, because there was this big moment. I wasn't at her high school graduation, and the fans of the show were very upset by that. Like, why weren't you there? I was like, because I was working on another show.
Oh,
like, right. It was just like, that's what was going on. It wasn't it wasn't some decision the writers made. But people, man, they love that show. They feel passionate about it. It's unbelievable.
It was like in Bewitched, when I was a kid, they switched husbands on us. Like the husband became a different actor. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here?
I remember that.
Yeah, shows like that.
They used to do that.
Yeah.
I think they did it on that Jason Bateman show. They switched mothers.
Or on Valerie, she couldn't sign the contract. They burned her in a fire or some shit, right?
Yeah.
Or 3 men and a baby lost a dad or something, didn't they? Like, it was just crazy.
Actors, stuff happens. They become unavailable.
There's this there's when you're talking about letting the asshole in you out. Kindness is so kindness can be so fake. Being nice can be so fucking fake.
Be real.
Yeah.
Be real.
And I had a friend teach me that, and basically I realized that kindness often comes at the cost of integrity. Because I have this friend who's not kind, and he has the most integrity of anyone I know.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in that. I mean, I'm a reformed nice guy, so I have strong opinions about this, but when I'm trying to be nice or kind in some kind of affectation, I I I try to notice it and give it up as soon as possible. I almost experiment with going the other way, just being direct and not unkind, but just not trying to sugarcoat anything, just saying things directly.
Right.
And what I find is that people like it. People like when you're just direct with them, and they appreciate it. They trust it in some way, because it doesn't feel like you're trying to get anything from them, or you're not trying to make them like you. And
that's make them like you. Exactly.
Yeah. There's nothing manipulating in it. David, analyze people who have random questions, thoughts. Yeah, I have 10 minutes. But
what does that mean? You understand that? You understand that question right there?
Analyze. Yeah, well, analyze. I mean, I think what Rambler's asking is, would I analyze people who have random questions, thoughts? I mean, I assume he means, or she in the chat. I don't know. I'm good at analyzing. I mean, that's what I do. I analyze people. I know what's going on.
What are you doing in 10 minutes?
I got a guy coming. I got to teach him some Lakota songs,
so that when he goes to the ceremony, he can participate.
Yeah. I'm a Lakota song carrier. I know like 150 Lakota songs.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
You're fully reprogramming yourself.
Yeah. The Lakota is changed my life when I discovered it 7-8 years ago. I started with the music, then I started going to Sweat Lodge, became obsessed with the music. And I had a teacher who, he knows like 500-600 songs, lived on the reservation. It's the real deal, had a drum group, sang at Sundances all over the country. So I don't know. I don't know why. I just became obsessed with the music, and then started going to Sweat Lodge, singing in Sweat Lodge. Then I went on a vision quest. Then I went on another vision quest. And then finally I went to Sundance, which is kind of the Mecca. And that's a 4-year commitment. So I've completed two of my 4 years. And I'm immersed in the world. It's my religion. It's what I practice. It's where I go to pray. Sweat Lodge every Wednesday here in Austin. So it's a huge part of my life.
When you do the Sweat Lodge, are you taking
no
mushrooms or
no? Some people there are ceremonies where people will use peyote, but I don't.
You're just getting really hot.
You're just getting really hot. It's the whole it's the heat, it's the darkness, it's the cramped environment, and the drum and the singing that creates the effect. And
hey, dude, have you seen this Instagram account where people go into a cave for like 3 or 4 or 5 days with the eye covers on?
Yeah.
And then they come out and they talk to them when they take the eye covers off?
Yeah.
That's some compelling shit, I think.
Yeah, I'm curious about that.
Their responses seem pretty legit to me. They're like,
"Oh yeah,
fuck, the world's beautiful." I mean,
yeah, it seems like a deep experience. I mean, the Lakota do have that. Some people vision quest inside of a Sweat Lodge, or they create these. They're not graves, but they'll bury them in some way. But yeah, inside a Sweat Lodge, you pull the door shut. It's totally black, and you're just in there for 4 days.
It was interesting what you said. One of the things the whole medicinal plant thing and people using that term medicinal plants kind of makes me think, it's just drugs to me. But you said something early on that muted that thought of mine. You basically said for you, being alone is easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, it's like that too. But to do mirror work, relationship work is hard. And I was like, wow, okay. I get it. Because I was wondering, why would anyone do medicinal plants before doing Vipassana? Although Vipassana has completely lost its way. Those fucking idiots are now mandating. Oh, dude.
Mandating what? Vaccines?
Yes.
It's like Esalen.
Them too?
Excellent, yeah, mandating vaccine. At least, I mean, I don't know if they're still doing that, but they were.
You know what Eckhart Tolle calls it? The so-called pandemic. He's fucking great.
Really? He gets
Oh,
it?
he's so dude, he so gets
Ah,
it.
it's yeah. I mean, that's a
I'm
whole
like,
rabbit hole.
how are you a Vipassana practitioner sitting in stillness and you get up to go get in line to get the injection? I'm like, what part of meditation did you miss? The
I
non
don't
what part of the
I don't get it.
non-reaction part? Isn't that incredible? They don't take money. You know, they don't take money until you go home, and then you can pay if you want or don't pay. You know, that's how that works. It's
Mhm.
non-denominational. It's a fantastic
Well, it's
organization.
listen, this is because they wanna be seen as good. This is the whole fucking disease. I
They
need to
wanna
be
be
good.
seen as good.
This is good. Getting the vaccine makes me a good person. That's how they manipulated people. You get the vaccine, not for yourself, for your neighbor, which was totally bullshit. But that's how they play off people. It's like, you need to be a good person. I want to be good. It's like a little kid. It's like Santa Claus. Be good, be good, be good. And that's what the fucking government does. That's how they manipulate you. That's
Did you
why you
see
got
they
to
what
get over. That's why you got to
the
get over this party that wants to be kind all the time. It's like, be real, be authentic. That's what people respect.
when someone says, sorry, I know you only have a few minutes. When someone says, by the way, those guys just won the Nobel Prize. I don't know if you saw that
Who won the
yesterday.
Nobel Prize?
The people who created the mRNA
Oh,
vaccine.
for fuck's
Dude,
sakes.
and the picture of them is getting the Nobel Prize wearing masks. It's some classic shit.
No way.
Because the injection works so good that they still have to wear masks. When someone says, uh, uh, that's their truth or speak your truth, does that mean anything to you? That was another line that kept getting thrown around in the Danny Morel thing. And like, I want to push back. I'm like, fuck you. I don't give a fuck about your truth. Like, I don't care if you think the Sasquatch is real or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, listen, you have to speak your truth to get to the truth. It may not be the truth, but you have to say what you feel. You have to say what you think. You have to. And you have to be willing for it to be wrong or offensive or distorted in some way or bigoted or racist somehow, some way. Like, you have to be willing to say what's true for you. I think that's what I do in my workshops. Just like, say whatever without judgment. Don't worry about it. It's just data. It's just information. And once it's out, you can actually see it for what it is. Or once it's out and you have somebody reflect it back to you, you can see where maybe you have a distortion. But if it's locked inside your head and you're afraid to say it, you're never going to get anywhere. You're not going to figure it out. It has to come out and be dealt with in order for it to get worked out. So that's what I hear when it's like, speak your truth. It doesn't mean that, but I on some level, truth is, I mean, I do think there's absolute truth that's real, but I also think on this plane of existence that reality is clearly a construct, and what's true for half the country is clearly not true for the other. I mean, these people who believe in the vaccines, they believe in it. They 100% believe in it. That is their truth. And so I think that's what we're reconciling to. Like, what happens when you have a society that doesn't believe the same stories, doesn't believe the same narratives, aren't all connected by some unifying narrative.
So if you're over here and the truth is over here, you have to keep saying your truth until you get to the truth. You have to keep spitting out, like, if you don't talk, you won't get to it. If you don't express it.
Unless you sit in a cave, and have realization after realization. But even those monks are going to have to come out of that cave and talk to somebody about what they experienced to help them make sense of it. So I think it's really important to speak up and speak out. You don't have to do it publicly, but definitely with your friends. Like, I think that's how you get closer to truth, and you start to see, when you say what you think or what you feel, that's how you can start to see the places where you may have shortcuts in your thinking, or you may have distortions, or it may be informed by your previous experiences, your trauma, whatever. But it has to come out. It has to start somewhere, because you can't hold back what you think and feel until it's perfect, until you've got some realized perfectly this absolute truth. That's not a thing. Right. And it's always changing and progressing, but the only truth is God. That's the only truth. That's
Where are you going? Where are you going next? What's your next podcast?
My next podcast?
Yeah, that you're doing.
I forget. I'm doing
where can people see you?
Yeah, I mean, Sutcliffe yeah, David Sutcliffe 33 on my Instagram. That's the best place to get a hold of me. I post there all the time.
Do you have any speaking engagements? You doing any seminars?
I've got a workshop coming up called Life Force. We haven't announced it yet, but it's December 8th to 10th in Austin, Texas. And I've got a lot of stuff coming up, a lot of media projects coming up. There's people I'm interviewing for my own podcast, and it's some interesting characters. I don't want to reveal it. So, the Tate interview has opened up a lot for me, and it feels fun to interview these controversial characters, and especially now that my brand is established as you're going to get an interview that's going to feel like a therapy session. I think that's interesting, and so I want to do more of that with different people and see how that goes. But Tate's a unique guy, and that's a unique interview because the whole interview starts off with he's skeptical of therapy, and I'm a therapist, so it becomes a chess match.
So you're having Trump on?
I'd love to have Trump on.
You're going to psychoanalyze Trump? Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah, I think he'd be open to it.
Oh, he's so fun. Hey, your description of him, I know you got to go. Your description of him in the Danny Morel was awesome, by the way. The way you described, oh, it was so good. That was the best. That was the first time I ever accepted anyone saying, tell your truth, be authentic. Because usually I'm like, go fuck yourself.
I understand. I
want to see you run as fast as you can. Then I'll tell you who you are. Thank you so much, David.
Thank you, man.
I will stay in touch. You're a wonderful gentleman, and I appreciate your time. I know all the listeners appreciate your time.
Appreciate
well,
you.
most
Thank
of them,
you.
not all of them. Most of them. All right, brother. Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Ciao. David Sutcliffe. Good dude.
That's cool.
Yeah. Good dude. Honest, right?
I'd say so. More than most.
I was when he didn't have kids, and I wanted to ask him that question about kids. It was weird. I felt like my I felt like that was the only time during the show where I was like, oh shit, I don't want to offend him. You know what I mean?
Why is that?
Because like if he's not gonna have kids, and I'm asking him but he disarmed me right away when he's like, yeah, there might be something there. Because you would think if someone's not gonna have kids, they're gonna be like, fuck that, I'm not having kids, and that doesn't mean shit, and I can still evolve as a human. They'd have some sort of defense mechanism up, and I didn't want to trigger that in him. And so I was kind of, but it didn't even come close. He just stayed he stayed the course of logic.
Yeah, sounds like he's still open to it too.
Yeah. Caleb, are you in the Shatacan?
No, I'm not.
Is that a bathroom?
No. The house that we bought, I named it the Shatacan. Like the shitty Vatican. Or somebody shat in the Vatican. It's
You make that up?
Yeah, kind of. My dad said it, and then I was like, yeah, that's exactly what this place is.
And he saw your house? That's what he said?
Yeah. It's pretty much a disaster. The guy who lived in it for the past couple decades neglected it significantly. And so there's just dirt and...
Dude, this is crazy. Did you buy a hotel? Whose truck is that?
That's our truck now.
Wait, that came with the house?
Yeah, the truck, the Jeep, everything you see came with the house.
That truck is sick.
I know, and it runs.
Why? How did you find this house? Where are you in West Virginia?
No, I'm in Nebraska now. So
What's up with that's your kitchen?
That's like the kitchen, living room.
I love this shit.
I'm telling you.
God, you must have a cool ass wife. So your wife got a new firefighting job at a new fire department?
Yeah, she will. Yeah.
And so you're like, hey babe, let's buy this house over here. And she's like, and you guys went and looked at it, and you guys were both like, okay, we can do this.
Well, yes, more or less. This is like our in-laws are our neighbors.
What is that?
That's
water softener?
That's the water pump thing. It's just out there. It should be like recessed back into that little like area, but he just
that doesn't even look real. That looks like a lampshade. That thing's not connected to that white thing. Look at the caulkings in between that and the
right. He just put stuff on it. Like he just placed stuff everywhere.
Okay, sorry, I keep interrupting. So the
No, it's fine.
in-laws.
So my in-laws live next door, and this guy, he's like this old fucking Vietnam vet, and he owned it, and it's like a 2-acre lot, and he just kind of like he lived in it for a couple decades.
There's another car. There was another car.
Yeah. There's 3 cars that we got off of this property, and so that property is like pretty good real estate for like a commercial build because you can build like a gas station or something on it. But that neighborhood is super nice, like $1 million houses. Like everybody lives there, has a 2-acre lot. They've got a whole bunch of space, all that stuff. And this guy was like, I don't want to give this to a commercial company because then that's a gas station and it ruins the neighborhood. So he asked my in-laws if they wanted to buy it, and my in-laws were like, "Well, no, but we know somebody who would." So we talked to him, and he's like, "Oh, you're in the Air Force, like you're a military guy. I know you'll treat this place right." And so he sold it to us.
Dude, it looks like a hotel.
Well, it was actually
Look at that
built
driveway. That thing's massive. You have a parking lot.
huge parking lot. Yeah, so it was actually built to be like a storefront. So like those 3 big windows up front, like they grew plants in the middle section where that other car was sitting.
Yeah.
And at one point they had like a bunch of trailers out there to sell sporting goods, and like I think at one point they also made dolls in there. It's like a doll factory.
What's that field see where that tree is? See, there's a car and then a tree, and there's like a
Yep.
field back there. That's just your backyard.
Yep, that's our backyard.
And then over here on the right, there's what about, there's another field over here on the right. Look at that. That field back
Just
there.
past that. Yeah, up to that road is ours. That's all our yard.
Wow, dude, you're stoked.
Yeah, dude.
Oh my God.
I cannot wait to put in some work on that thing.
So you live there? You sleep in there?
No, I'm at my parents' house right now. So I'm gonna take like probably the next few weeks and just like make it livable.
When is the bulldozer coming?
Well, we thought about it, but the building
is it on a slab? Is it on a slab?
Yeah, it's just on a concrete slab. So we thought about leveling it, but then also it's still a usable building, and like you can just convert it and turn it into something you can use. And so I'm gonna make that my project and make it like livable and usable. But then we're also gonna hire a contractor to build a like actual house next, like on that same property.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we're not gonna like dump all of our money into that specifically.
Why not? Why not just fix that place up? Why build another one? More space, have 2 houses, rent one out, blah blah blah.
Yeah, all that stuff. Also because that house alone, it's not like adequate for what we would want, basically. Like there's only one room in there to live, like sleep in. We want to have some more room to have kids and stuff, and do that thing.
2 acres, dude.
Yeah, it's stupid. I can't believe that we did it. I'm pretty beside myself about it.
Yeah, that's cool. And you don't seem overwhelmed. You're like stoked.
No, I'm pumped. I cannot wait to like yesterday I was just pulling weeds on that driveway. I was just like pulling weeds, brushing shit out of the way, like cleaning stuff out,
Hey, my wife and I bought a house in 2011, and it's on 2,000. The lot is 2,000 square feet, and the home is 860 square feet. And we bought it for $400,000, and we put $300,000 into it, and now it's probably worth like 1.1 million. What we should have done, but we listened to we didn't listen to ourselves. We listened to other people. Right down the street, there was a house that took up the entire block. It was on like 28,000 square feet, but the house was a complete disaster, like your house.
Yeah.
But it was a 2-story, it was a big house, but a complete disaster, dude. Like scary. And but it was the same price. And if we would have bought that house today, that property alone today is with no house on it's worth like 4 million. So I wish and what's crazy is when we bought that house, we didn't move into it for like 2 or 3 years, and then we still remodeled it, put 300,000 into it. I mean, we were just stupid.
Yeah.
I should have taken the risk. I've never taken risks. I think you're smart. Was this a risk?
This was probably the biggest risk I've taken, like ever.
Yeah,
Just,
it looks like a big risk, but 2 acres is awesome, dude.
yeah, it's way more space than I expected it to be. Like I can like kind of comprehend 2 acres, but like actually walking around the property itself, like that was the first time I've actually been able to walk into that building and walk around it.
Yeah.
And like I basically never seen it in person before. So yesterday, be walking around it and seeing it was pretty insane.
Yeah. I live on a half acre and I feel like it's crazy. It's so awesome. I love all the space.
It's pretty cool.
So sick. Does it snow there?
Yeah. So we'll have a ton of snow, and that's
Well,
one thing
what
that I'm
fruit
worried
trees
about.
can you plant in the snow? Can you plant apple trees and cherry trees?
Yeah, we have a ton of there's a couple apple trees on there. There's a walnut tree,
Oh, that's cool.
and I think maybe a pear tree. But if not, my mom has a pear tree on her property, and she's been able to grow stuff regularly on it. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, Bernie Gannon. Yeah, Caleb has a new mission. Yeah, that's dope, dude.
yeah, I feel like rejuvenated a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm just excited for the challenge, and it's cool.
What's first step one? You get a dumpster there and just start carrying stuff out to the dumpster. Just start throwing stuff away.
Yeah, pretty much. Tomorrow the dumpster will show up, and we're gonna have to like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I'm just gonna rip out, throw it away, and that way, I kind of just want to start from scratch. Really, like I don't want to feel attached to anything that's in that spot already, because then it's just accumulation of stuff we don't need. So.
Is there electricity there? Electricity?
Yeah, there's electricity. Apparently there's no internet, so we'll have to run like fiber optic cable to it, and then it's like just so dim. That's the other thing. The lights are just so dim and not
Is
placed well.
it knob and tube electricity? Do you know what that is?
No, I don't. What is that?
God, how old's the house?
Oh, it's old.
Have you seen the wires?
I haven't
Like
really actually looked that closely, but
like this is knob and tube. What I'm about to show you, like this shit's fucking freaky. When we bought our house, it was like this. These were the wires, like this kind of shit.
oh, I don't.
It's
think
like almost
that.
like they're not covered.
Yeah, that's kind of scary. I don't think I've seen anything like that though.
All right.
That's kind of a relief.
Is my knob and tube wiring safe? I wonder what the answer to that is.
The fact you have knob and tube wiring is probably not safe.
Right. Cave Dastro, how big of a dumpster did you get?
Oh, I brought not the biggest one, but the close to the biggest one. It's like a 30-yard dumpster, something like that.
Can you carve in the side of it with a pocket knife? Dump truck hottie.
Yeah. And I'll take a picture of it and send it to you guys.
All right. All right, cool. Well, good to see you here this morning. That was a fucking awesome surprise.
Yeah, I'm excited to keep doing this.
And we have are you on tonight's show?
I should be able to, yeah.
Okay.
That's Dave Driscoll.
Okay. Yeah, Dave Driscoll. Sorry, I saw a text come in from my wife.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
My wife says the problem with good and evil is the people we call evil think we are the evil ones and they are the good ones. Who's to say who's right? I know, that's why I don't like it either. I need like, yeah.
I did find it interesting that he said that when he uses like satanic and demonic, it's like more metaphorical.
Yeah.
Like he still couldn't. I acknowledged that he couldn't really define it, but he uses it in a metaphorical sense, I guess. I don't know if that.
I don't like emotional appeal talk, and that's what the left does. And I just want you to be like, hey, that dude's a piece of shit because he diddles kids. And I'm like, yep, I'm with you. Yeah. Not he's satanic. My wife also wrote, I wanted to bring this up too. Tate thought you had to be happy to be present. You don't have to be enjoying the moment to be present. Yeah, that's true too. You know what I was thinking the other day, Caleb? I'm not even a happy person. Like I've transcended happy. I'm like better than happy. Happy's like, I'm excited. Like the way probably you are about your house. You're not happy or sad about it. You're like fucking excited.
Yeah,
right?
There's just like energy. You just
have energy. Yeah. Ooh, I
That's how I
can't wait.
felt it.
Like, you probably after this podcast, you probably can't wait to go over there and like walk around again, right?
That's exactly what I'm gonna do. Yeah.
Yeah, like start being okay. I could put a hog wire fence here. Oh my god, we can get a dog now. Like, your brain's gonna be just going off crazy.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's see what else my wife wrote. You can watch the busy mind, and that awareness is presence. But as soon as you react to a thought, you can lose that state of presence. God, she's so smart.
Dang, she's good with words.
Presence is without judgment, total clear, no thing. I was judging the shit out of her yesterday or a couple days ago when she came home from Pilates. All sweaty and shit, boob falling out of the side of her shirt. And you know what? It's funny, like, I see her like that, and like her shorts are all fucking hiked up and shit, and I like see her like getting ready to shower, and I'm just like, I look between her, I see her, and it's like just a big old bowl of mashed potatoes that I want to eat, and then I just see my kids there. Oh, fuckers. I'm getting a PlayStation. Putting it on the complete other side of the house.
That's the best way to do it.
Get over there. All right. Great show. I'm glad I had him.
Yeah, that was cool.
I was concerned I was going to fuck it up by talking about myself too much, but I think I did an okay job.
Yeah, it was good.
All right.
It's an interesting cat.
We'll see you guys tonight for the affiliate series. Dave Driscoll owns a gym in Bali. That's at, I think it's 6:30. So in, I don't know, 8.5 hours. 8 hours and 45 minutes. Adam Blakesley, mashed potatoes, probably not the best metaphor. Okay, fine. You're right. I see her as a bicycle that I want to ride. How's that? Rambler, congratulations, Beaver.
Thanks, dude.
Vindicate, Dave's gym is at the top of my list to visit. Yeah, for sure. Bernie Gannon, do you think there might be an external intelligent evil beyond individual people, beyond metaphor? No, I don't. My sister's probably going to slap me around, though. You think there's a devil, Caleb? Like there's actual like a being, a sentient being?
I don't think so.
That's like anointed, like as the devil? Oh, look, there's the devil. No. Oh, no, that's just Jeffrey Dahmer. Never mind. Go on.
Yeah, I guess when you put it that way, it's more of a, like an idea rather than like a, it's like, oh, there's the devil right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Caleb's property can house the CEO shirt empire. Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, start churning out t-shirts in my living room.
Can you say what town you live in? Or would you rather not?
I live in Omaha, Nebraska. How about that?
Oh, okay. Because I want to truly see if I should move there.
Yeah, it's nice.
Could you have a cat? Could you have a cow on your property if you wanted? You think your neighbors would be cool with that?
I could. I think I can have farm animals. I just
you could have just one cow out there fencing your shit and just have a cow out there.
Yeah, my parents have a horse.
Oh,
so yeah.
How close is your parents' house?
Like across the street. Well, and I say across the street, that's like half mile away.
Dude, that is awesome.
I know, right?
Do they have to drive by your house to get to their house?
No,
like, will they know if you're home?
No, we're a little bit out of the way than that regard.
Oh, even better. Half mile, can't see if I'm home. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, hurry up and have kids. Built-in babysitter.
No doubt.
Yeah, it's so good. All right. Bye, everyone. Thank you. See you soon.